Hello, my friends. It's Bradley J. And here we are with Leo Gozbekian, who is a friend of mine from way back, a friend of a lot of folks in the scene. And we're going to talk about his brand new book, All Access Concert and Backstage Photos. First, Leo, hello and congratulations on this book.
Thank you, Bradley. Appreciate it. And always appreciated you and your friendship and your great musical and DJ talents. You've always been a friend.
Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about you and your history before we get to sharing some of the book.
Sure.
We'll talk about you and how, some of the times in back in the day, and then we'll actually look at some of the pages in the book.
Fantastic.
You got into town really early on, and what did you do before you were a photographer, and how did you get to being a photographer, and then how did you get your first paying gig?
Well, before I was a photographer, I did all kinds of things, from driving delivery trucks to working at a cleaning company to all kinds of jobs. But I had been saving up for my first camera. I was very young when I started. I tell people I was 5, but obviously that's a lie. But I saved up, finally got my first camera. It was a $50 camera that was 20-year-old, post-World War II German camera. Barely knew how to use it when I got a call from a friend of mine that was the representative for Sun Amplifiers, who was big then. He wanted them to use he wanted the Who to use those amps and speakers on their upcoming tour of the States. So I got a call one day. He says, "Leo, you got a camera?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Good. Pack some things. We're going to New York." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, just do it." So he pulls up in a huge powder blue Coupe de Ville. Get in there, and on the way, he tells me we're going to go meet the Who. And I'm out of my mind because the Who were, to say I was a fan, I've seen every show, everything from the original Tea Party to the Garden, everywhere. So I was just amazed. I was still a kid. So we go, we meet the Who. Pete Townsend and John Entwistle start playing, jamming back and forth. And the only other two people in the room were myself and my friend. I was just, my jaw was to the floor, but I had to remember to keep taking pictures, which I did. So that was my very first music pictures of Pete Townsend.
Imagine if something had gone wrong, right? Imagine if you hadn't brought the film or I always worry about that kind of thing during those crucial moments, but everything went well.
Everything went well. Everything went very well. And again, I was just stunned, and I am to this day. I've never been not floored by all the things that I've experienced with people like you and Backstage and music. It's still amazing to me.
Now, that first photo session, are any of those photos in the book?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The first 2 pages are literally those very first pictures I took.
Wow.
So they were, one of them is a total favorite. It's been for a long time, and actually I gave it to Pete Townsend years ago, and it's him strumming a guitar. He turns around and gives me the thumbs up looking in the camera.
And
first picture I took, it was at Manny's in New York City.
And we'll show that picture later?
Yeah, it's in you'll have it right there.
Okay, good. All right. So you said, this is great. This is for me. I'm all in. You're saying, I knew it would be excellent. It was. This is what I'm doing. How did you proceed from there?
Well, I got a call from the A&M Records promotion person, and I didn't even know what a promotion person was. But I get a call. He goes, "Yeah, I hear you got a camera. You can take pictures." Yeah, I can do that, and I barely know what I'm doing. He says, "Good. Show up the music hall tonight. I need you to shoot some pictures of my band and a meet and greet." I said, "Okay." So I show up, music hall, and no passes then. There was no backstage passes, no nothing. You just showed up and said, "Hey, I'm here." And they let you in. That's how easy it was. There was nothing. There was no list. There was nothing.
What year do you figure that was?
Well, that was 1971. So I know, but yeah.
Pre-list, not even a list.
No, nothing. And so I get there, and it turns out the band I'm photographing is the Carpenters.
No kidding.
And I'm literally standing on stage while they're playing to the audience, taking pictures of Karen Carpenter on the drums and her brother, and Mark Lindsay from Paul Revere and the Raiders was the opening act. And after that, because as you know, the music community in Boston is very tight, my name was given to this label, that label. And I've ended up doing work for every record company and then all the radio stations pretty much as well.
And so if you're talking 71, BCN was, getting in high gear in around 71. Did you already have relations with those guys?
It came along throughout the next few years because, again, as I'm getting introduced to everybody else in the business, I ended up doing work for BCN, and then I went on to other stations after that.
Wow. And we have a picture of BCN here later. Then I guess the way to go is just for you to continue chronologically with some highlights before we get to another category of question.
Well, I'll go through the first few pages that show the very early on, the first couple of years, really.
Do you want to have me share the screen now? Is this a good time?
Well, you can do that. I can also hold up the book if you'd like.
Let's do this. I want to practice the screen sharing thing.
You can do that. So,
all right.
See if you have that. I got the Allman Brothers, perhaps, and Jethro Tull.
Oh, good. Well, after this, we'll do those. So I'm going to share the screen. You tell me what you're seeing. This is the beautiful cover. I love this cover.
Thank you. Well, again, that's the cover shot of Townsend doing the windmill. I mean, how much more classic can it get for me? Again, I had to remember to shoot because I'm so into the Who and I'm literally feet away from him. I don't have zoom lenses or anything, so I'm not 30, 40 feet away. I'm 10 feet away.
Right. It looks like you could bite him on the knee if you wanted.
Well, and that was the time they played 3 shows, one after the other at the music hall. And I was at every show. I was either in the pit, the orchestra pit, we call it, or on the stage, literally on the stage while they're playing. Again, wow, that I was able to do that. The last night was interesting because Rod Stewart, who had just finished a show at the Boston Common, I think it was called Concerts on the Common, finished his show, showed up to see the Who, standing on the side of the stage. Roger Daltrey saw him, and for some reason, he got pretty pissed off. He threw his mics, his stand, everything, stormed off the stage, and demanded to be driven back to the hotel and to the airport so he could leave.
Weird.
And well, it was weird, and the show was still going on. So Townsend had to sing the rest of the show.
Wow.
So to top it off, later that night, I was invited to or learned about a party at a loft on the Long Wharf where the Boston Marriott is now. And I actually went to a party with the Who, hung out with Townsend. We were talking, and here I am, a kid with my idol. I mean, just next to me, and we're talking. And I'll tell you a funny story. Friends of mine would say we look similar, and I told him that. He turns to me and says, "That's because we both have big honkers." And I'll never forget those words out of his mouth.
And as you were at the party, is there anything about being amongst these superstars that was surprising to you?
Well, yeah, it was surprising because it wasn't like they were superstars anymore. They were just people hanging out at a party, want to talk, want to chat, don't want to be oohed and ahhed over. They're just regular people. And that's the case most of the time. And I think you probably feel the same way, that a lot of the artists, when they're not on stage and in a relaxed setting, are relaxed and just want to have a normal conversation.
Right. And when I interview people, I try to remember that and put myself in their place. Like, what was their day like today? They were on a bus for a long time, I try to think what their concerns would be. And that mindset that you speak of is a big help. Let's take a look at the next picture. Oh, there's the Keith in the Ritz, at the Ritz, right, in Boston.
At the Ritz, Boston. Record companies back in those early days spared no expense. I mean, no expense. They would have, when they threw parties, had to be at the most expensive, exclusive place in Boston. And the Ritz at the time was one of those places. And this is a promo tour Keith Moon is doing for his, I think, only solo album. And you can tell by his outfit, he's just sort of the coolest, most dapper Englishman that you would see.
1975. Then you have Pete, 1985. Down there. It's part of the book, too.
And Roger Daltrey at a live show. So those are some individual shots. Again, some pages in the book have more photos of a particular act because they are favorites.
Right. And this book is available now where?
It's available in two places. It's available on Amazon, directly from Amazon. It's available in a softcover or hardcover. It's also available on my site if somebody wants a signed copy. And my site is leog.biz, B-I-Z. So either way, somebody wants a signed copy, they can get it from me. But Amazon is easy and good for people to go to as well.
So leog.biz, if they just put that in there.
Put that in, they'll see how we're right on the first page. They'll see how to order it. And
is that right?
Leog.biz is correct. And okay. I'll sign it to whoever they want, ship it out to them, and they'll have a book that I hope they like.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's now try to move this. I think I have to shrink it down. What have I done here? Let's go. Okay, good. Let's go to Iggy.
Iggy. Well, what can you say about Iggy? Look at that shot. That is, and as I say in the little bit of a caption, the always intense Iggy Pop. And man, he was always intense, no doubt. But another guy, on stage, you can just see from that picture the energy. But off stage, he would joke and laugh and just be this regular guy. You wouldn't even know that he's a rocker. You just wouldn't know it. He's just a regular guy. But on stage, man, he just puts everything into it, like a lot of bands do.
I have a quick Iggy story, if it's okay.
Of course.
For some reason, we went to have some dinner with him at the Hard Rock Cafe. And as you say, he was really low key. He was wearing glasses and looking like Poindexter.
Right.
And there was some kind of creepy kid that kept popping his head in the room and looking at him. And he was a little uncomfortable, and it was uncomfortable. But then the kid said, and Iggy was being super cool. But then the kid said, "Hey, Iggy, what's with the glasses?" And he went off on this kid like only Iggy can. The kid must have been petrified. All right, let's go to, wait a minute. No. Okay. Looks like a Neil Young and a David Byrne.
Well, we got Neil Young. We got David Byrne. That was the Ray Momo tour, photographed at the Harbor Lights Pavilion. I got, let me see, up in the left-hand corner is
Rob Zombie.
And then Jacob Dylan on the right at the Metro.
Did you ever get bored later on in your career? Like, oh boy, I got to go take pictures of David Byrne.
Never. I'm not making that up. Never. Every time I got a call, I felt two things. I really did. I felt super lucky and fortunate that I was the one that was being called, because they could call anybody. I really did. So every time, and I got so excited, get the equipment together, get myself ready, and show up the show. The excitement never waned ever, all those years.
Did you ever make a mistake? Did you ever have an embarrassing moment?
I probably have, but no, I can't think of one that was so bad that I could recall. I always tried to, and I think you can attest to this, I always had to pay attention and be there, see everything, but also be far enough away where I didn't interfere with what was going on. And I prided myself in that, to be there and ready and get the photos, but again, not be the center of everything to take over, because I never did that.
Let's face it, it was cool to get the recognition. It's for you to show up, say, on Lansdowne Street and have John Tassi, the guy who's kind of in charge of security, just nod, and you knew that you could go in the back door and get drink tickets and go on the stage and nobody hassled you. I mean, wasn't that the best part of the whole thing?
It was, and I mentioned early on that there was no backstage passes, but when those things came, photo passes, backstage passes, I would get them because I was working for whatever, the record company, a radio show, the club, but I seldom needed it. Everybody knew me, and they let me go anywhere I wanted and be anywhere I wanted. And the thing that was always exciting was I won't say advantage, but being able to go backstage and being actually hired to be backstage with these people one-on-one, 4 or 5 feet away. We're talking, we're taking pictures, we're doing in a totally relaxed atmosphere. And that's why, even on this page, Neil Young, he's standing there looking at me, just hanging out. I mean, where do you see that? And those are the things I was able to capture, being most of the time the only photographer backstage to do that.
Will asks, did the rock stars like to be photographed off stage, in a relaxed setting, or did you find them to sometimes prefer that, even though the record company may have hired you to do it, that maybe they wished you wouldn't?
Well, a lot of people have asked me about that, and here's what the response is, which is an honest response. The bands, most of them would remember and recognize me, and be told by the promotion people how easy it's going to be. And after the first couple of pictures, they would very often look at me and sometimes shake my hand and say how appreciative they were, that it was being quick, it was easy, and it always worked that way. And after a few minutes, they just totally relaxed, never had an issue.
Good. Tell me about Sting.
Well, again, Sting photographed him very early on. Well, I think you probably remember, you may have been at the show at the Paradise when they played a couple of sold out nights sponsored by WBCN years ago.
I can't remember. Maybe. You know how it was. There's just so many of them.
I remember for you. So
all right.
But I first met them then, very young. In the book, there's not just pictures of Sting, but there's some very young photos of the Police doing an in-store appearance at Strawberries, and it's a photo that you would never see them doing or now, which is they're all pressing their face and nose against the glass on the front of Strawberries. It's a unique thing that you can't imagine Sting doing something like that.
No, he's Mr. Serious. I love seeing him in movies. He turned out to be a pretty good actor.
He was good. I remember him in Dune the first time I think I saw him. It may have been his first movie, possibly.
And once again, you can get this book on Amazon, or you can get it directly from leo.g. You go to leog.biz, leog.biz. Let me put that back up there for the folks at some point. And if you do that, if you choose that option, you can get a signed copy right there, leog.biz.
Right.
All right. And now it looks like Elton John dressed as Elmer Fudd.
Well, look at that. That's early 1980s, and he was, and you can see in the picture how almost shy he was. And that's one thing I found, and I refer to you as well. Didn't you find that some acts were off stage when they were so intense and energetic, engaging the audience? Off stage, they were a little shy and reserved.
Well, yep, and they're not able to hide behind, especially Elton John, not able to hide behind his big glasses or his microphone. Right. Being behind the microphone is kind of a protection, and when the microphone's gone, you feel very vulnerable.
Well, it's that, and you've been on stage before, and the lights are so bright that they actually seldom see the audience.
Right, that's right. You just imagine they're out there and you can hear them roar.
Yes.
You're not making much eye contact.
None whatsoever. Most of the time, there's none.
All right, I love these photos, and there's a lot more in the book, right?
Well, here's what we got is, I've got over 600 photographs in there. And the other thing I'll mention, and you were one of the very kind and people that wrote a wonderful story for the book. I asked a number of my music community friends to pick any experience they had about anybody that they saw or talked to or interviewed. And we got wonderful stories in there, all different kinds by all different people. And you wrote an amazing one about David Bowie, right? At the Fort Apache, I think it was.
Yep. I don't see that photo. Did you send that photo? It's okay if you didn't.
I did not, but I have it in the book, but it is in there.
As long as I didn't miss it.
You did not.
It's a spectacular photo, and I can quickly outline what it's from. In 1997, and I forget the date, but it was cold, probably a cold spring day, maybe.
It was, yeah.
And in 1997, David Bowie and his guitarist at the time, Reeves Gabrels, came to Fort Apache Studios, a recording studio in Cambridge, which for a star of that stature is tiny There were 100 WBCN listeners who were chosen at least partly on the basis of questions they sent in. And I was the go-between. I got to read their questions, ask their questions to Bowie for them. And it was a very intimate situation. And he's super generous by that. You know, he's relaxed at the time, generous, looking super cool in a cool leather jacket. And you got some spectacular photos. And so I related that story. And I just concentrated on how, basically, how nice and generous the guy is.
Gentleman, a total gentleman, total, you know, just, he went from being, again, as he was perceived, and maybe he wanted us to, totally a crazy person with all his personas, as you mentioned, to that day, he genuinely wanted to meet every single person in there. Huge smile on his face. I just showed the picture. I'm going to show it again.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Look at that, huh?
Right.
How cool can one man be?
I mean, it's just been one of those times that I will always cherish, because we go way back about Bowie, and the other photos related to that next few pages are from the Diamond Dogs tour, and I was just floored. I could not wait to get the slides processed that next morning. I waited and looked at every one. It was amazing. That was a great tour. There's some great photos from that in the book as well.
Lou Duffy says, great insight to allow reliving the years gone by. Some people say you can't live in the past. So I disagree. I don't want to let the past fade, because if the past is better than the future, why not remember it? And nothing brings it back like these super photos. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. It's you know, the thing is with the photos, not just for me. I'm hoping that people will see a history of many things, not just Boston music, but these bands are international. Between the Who and Bowie and Lady Gaga later on, and Snoop Dogg or Lil Wayne. I photographed a wide variety of bands and acts, and it's the way music changed throughout the years as well. The lighting, the stage sets. Went from very simple things to pretty complicated that required multiple trucks and all that business.
So tell me the title of the book again. I'll find there it is. All access concert and backstage photos. It will blow you away. And the cool part about this is that so many of these photos were taken in Boston, correct?
All in Boston, except for the very first two in New York, but all Boston, all the venues in Boston, some of which are not there anymore, the Rat and so on, but all Boston.
So a super Boston book from a super Boston guy, highly talented Leo. And just like Bowie, Leo is a kind and generous dude. And let me say on a personal note that it has been and continues to be such a pleasure to know you. And I'm glad that we have reunited.
Long time friendship, decades long friendship is one of the best things I've got out of photography and the music business.
Okay, thank you. And again, I want to get that leo.biz for the signed copy, and just go straight to Amazon. And don't say, oh, I'm going to go to Amazon someday. As soon as I finish this, you go right to Amazon and you get it. And do me a favor, people, and share this with folks that you think might like this experience that we've had together. I do apologize. My beard's a little scraggly. Leo commented on my beard.
Oh, looks good, man. No, I like that beard.
I'm challenging you to go for it and grow a big beard. You can always shave it back down again if you don't like it.
No, I'll consider it, but it's not going to be as good as yours. That's all there is to it.
All access concert and backstage photos. Leo Gozbekian, you're the best. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.